Hey, what's up YouTube? TDNRider here, coming at you with a deck profile. This time I will be deck profiling my Vampire Zombie deck. I will explain my card choices and in the end I will list quite a few tech cards you might consider playing. This version of the deck runs an Instant Fusion engine. The Instant Fusion was suggested by a subscriber of mine and it turned out to fit in great and work out fairly well. So thanks again for your suggestion. Either way, without any further ado, let's get into it. We're still running 3 Vampire Sorcerer. This runs the deck, you wanna open up with it. It's pretty much a Sangan for your vampire stuff, also spell and traps, and if it is in your graveyard you can banish it and normal summon 1 vampire monster without attributes. And that will be most of the time Shadow Vampire. This is pretty much a level 5 tour guide. It brings out, if it is normal summoned, you can bring out a vampire monster from your deck and only that monster can attack the turn, and Shadow Vampire can only be used as a XOC material for a dark XOC monster, so that's pretty much the downside of it. But it's still very good, it can be searched, and yeah. Then for the main target for Shadow Vampire, we're running 2 Vampire Lord. It's a pretty decent card, and in combination with the field card, which lets you pop a card on the field if your opponent sends a card from their deck to the graveyard. It's really good in combination with Shadow Vampire because if it inflicts battle damage, you can declare one type of card, either a spell, trap, or monster, and then your opponent has to send 1 card from their deck to the graveyard. So you can like call spell, then your opponent like has to send a MST, a Monster Reborn, or another power spell to the graveyard, and then you can pop a card your opponent controls. So it's a plus. Then 2 Vampire Grace. This card is pretty decent and you wanna have it in your graveyard and not in your hand. That's why we're only running 2 copies of it, and yeah. Oh yeah, by the way, we're running only 2 copies of Shadow Vampire because 2 is enough. If you draw 1, it's not that bad. If you draw 2, that's really bad, and 3 is just dead. And it can also be searched, so that's why we're running 2 of those. Then 1 Dark-Armed Dragon, because you have pretty much the control over your graveyard with cards like Mizuki, Zombie Master, and Vampire Sorcerer. You just have the control over it, and also Vampire Grace. Then 3 copies of Zombie Master. This is a pretty decent card. It can bring back your floaters in form of Vampire Sorcerer, Pyramid Turtle, Goblin Zombie, and Mizuki. And yeah, it just runs the deck. It's really good. Then 1 Mizuki. This card is so good. In combination with a Vampire Grace in your graveyard, you can banish it, summon your Shadow Vampire or your Vampire Lord, and then special summon your Vampire Grace, use its effect to send a card from your opponent's deck to the graveyard, then pop 1 and go for like 4000 damage, and that's just off from your graveyard, so it's really good. And it's actually not that hard to get in your graveyard, and even if you draw it, it's not that bad because it has 1700 attack and it could be ditched with Zombie Master. Then 2 Pyramid Turtles. You really wanna open up with a floater, most of the time with Vampire Sorcerer, but you won't always open up with it, so Pyramid Turtle is really decent. And then 2 Goblin Zombies. It's also floaters, searches your deck, but it has also the fact that if it inflicts battle damage, you can send a card from your opponent's deck to the graveyard, the top card from your opponent's deck to the graveyard, so it also works well in combination with this field spell. That's it for the monster line. Now to the spells. We're running 2 Instant Fusion, as I said, suggested by a subscriber. It's really good actually, it speeds up the deck. You can either bring out your Reaper on the Nightmare, which is a decent card, and go for XC play, or you can bring out your Darkfire Dragon and then go for rank 4 XC plays. And also your Reaper on the Nightmare, if it is summoned by Instant Fusion, it cannot attack, and it is destroyed during the end phase, but if it is summoned by Book of Life afterwards, it has its effect live. Also, you can use its effect and just beat your opponent down, and then like even make them go minus, discard a card from their hand. It's really good. Then 2 Book of Life. It's almost like you're running 4 Monster Reborn in this deck, because like pretty much all of your cards are zombie type. And also against decks like Dark Worlds or Insectors, you can just banish their key cards like their Hornet, their Grepha, and just slow them down. Then 1 copy of Heavy Storm, just there. one Recurring Nightmare, we're running 5 targets, and like Recurring Nightmare and Zombie Master is a really decent combination, but you could take it, you could take it out, but I just choose to run it. 2 is too much, and 3, I wouldn't even play that. One Foolish Barrel. Foolish Barrel is a pretty decent card. It stacks your graveyard for either Zombie Master, because if you have 2 Zombie Master in your hand and no level 4 or lower zombie type in your graveyard, you cannot ditch the Zombie Master to summon it to the other from the hand. You gotta have one zombie type in your graveyard first to activate its effect. So just keep that in mind. Also, you could dump your Mezuki as well as your Vampire Sorcerer and set up your grave. So it's really good. Then 1 copy of Monster Reborn, just gotta run it. 2 copies of Mystical Space Typhoon. I wouldn't max it out because we're running the field spell, this card over here. It makes your zombie type monster gain 500 attack during the damage calculation only. So pretty much all of your monster got 500 attack boost. And if a card is sent from your opponent's deck to the graveyard, you can pop a card. First send a vampire monster from your deck to the graveyard, aka Vampire Grace or Vampire Sorcerer, and then pop a card. So it's really good, especially against Lightsworn or something like that. Then 2 Vampire Shifts. This is pretty much a terraforming on crack. It's really good. It not only searches your field spell, also you can special summon 1 vampire monster from your graveyard, so it's really good. And it is also searchable, so just keep that in mind. 1 Bottomless Trap Hole, just there to like make the deck 40 card deck. You can also take it out and add something else in. I just choose to run 1 Bottomless. 2 Torrential Tributes. You could also consider running 2 Bottomless and 1 Torrential. It's just player preferences, and yeah. Then 2 copies of Call of the Haunted. Since we're running quite a few floaters, such as Goblin Zombie, Vampire Sorcerer. You can, if your opponent like blind MSTs it, you can just revive your Goblin Zombie and then search for it and go plus apparently. And then the Solemn Dude just there, it's really good. For the X-Rack, here we have 1 Gaia Dragon, the Dunwich Charger. It's really good if like your monster got Fiendish Chained or something. And also the Vampire Bram, the Edelritter, summons its back. It's pretty much a Monster Reborn and a Treeborn Frog in 1 card, but it summons it in face-up defense position, so it cannot attack, but you can overlay for Gaia Dragon and then pierce your opponent, so it's really good. Then for rank 6 we're running 1 Constellar Ptolemy M7. It's just there, it's not the back. If you get it off, it's a plus, but yeah. Then 1 Arduous Keeper of Armageddon, just there, it's also a dark. The downside of Shadow Vampire is that you can only use it as a material for dark XYZ. So yeah, that just limits the option, because Vokusaurs and Gaia Dragon would be a really decent combination, but yeah, that's not happening. Then 1 Shark Fortress. It's not the best card because most of the time if you go for a rank 5 play, you summon it by Shadow Vampire, and then that just means that all monster you control except for a special summon monster by the effect of Shadow Vampire cannot attack, so Shark Fortress is pretty dead. Then for force we're running 1 Gemini Pearl, Utopia, Black Ship of Corn, Diamond Direwolf, Mestoke the Symphony Chain, Gaga Cowboy, Lavalva Chain, and the Reaper on the Nightmare for fusion, as well as 1 Darkfire Dragon. Now in the side deck we have some cards I have been trying out. Most of them are tech cards, and yeah. So we have a 1 Plague Spreader Zombie. It's really good, but the main focus of this deck is to exceed. So yeah, just not synchro. Then 1 Vampire Genesis, since we're running the Vampire Lord, but it's not that good, but yeah. Then 1 Ill Blood. Also you can bring it out with Pyramid Turtle, but it's not that good, and the main focus of the deck is to XYZ, and the other rank 6 monster play is Vampire Grace, which you can already special summon, so it's not that good. Then 1 Vampire Dragon. You can choose to run it for a target for Shadow Vampire, but its effect is not that good. Someone asked me whether we get the effect of if it is normal summoned without tributing by Vampire Sorcerer, but we do not get the effect of to add a card from our deck to the hand if it is normal summoned by tributing, so it's not that good. So yep. Then 1 Endless Decay. This is a different build, but yeah, still a decent tech card. Vampire Lady, just there, another vampire target. Then some trap cards, hand trap cards in form of Whaler and Maxi, just there. Mainly you want to run this in the side deck. Then a Tour Guide Ancient to bring back your Mezuki, your Shadow Vampire, and your cards banished by a Dark Gun Dragon, and just first turn like a Sand Mains, and then with the Torrential in the back row, it's really good. And if you're playing Tour Guide, I would also recommend to play Allure of Darkness, because Tour Guide and Allure of the Darkness is pretty decent combination. Then we have a Trance Turn. This is a new card. Pretty much it's a insect imitation, or what's it called? Yeah, I guess. Like you tribute your monster, and then you can special summon one monster with the same type and attribute from your deck. And since here are all zombie and dark attribute, that just makes your deck searchable. But it's not that good. It's actually minus, but yeah. Then one Call of the Mummy. This is pretty much not searchable Valhalla Hall of the Fallen. I guess that's what it's called. And yeah, it's not that good. You have enough option to special summon like Book of Life, Monster Reborn, Instant Fusion, so it's not that good. And then a Zombie World against like Prophecy or Dragon Ruler. It's actually a decent tech card or a side deck card, and yeah, just not that good. So yeah, feel free to leave me any suggestion or a feedback. Well yeah, have a nice day. TDNRider signing out.